As netizens start to ask for more from an idol, and management agencies themselves also raise the bar of the artists. For example, Inmix is an act where all members have outstanding visual, vocals, and dancing capabilities. It is proven that having the mere visual can't help a group make it big so easily like before. However, there are still idols that are said to not even bother about how bad their vocal capabilities are. And although years have passed since their debut, people still find them stuck with the same below-average vocal, and showed no improvement. Number 1. IVE. While being highly regarded as the next leading act of Gen 4 girl groups, and having one of the most, if not the most, famous idols of Gen 4, Jang Won-young, IVE is still said to disappoint many people because of their seriously lacking vocals. Things all started after IVE got their trophy on Inkigayo, continuing the winning streak despite being a several-week-old rookie from a mid-range entertainment company. Apparently, this huge achievement was enough to keep mouths talking, but when their encore stage was published, the attention was quick to shift to their poor singing capabilities. Initially, Ray was the sole target because when it came to her high notes during the re-chorus, Ray always found one way or another to dodge singing. At the first encore stage, she was in tears and cut off her high notes. People were of course sympathetic, but after seeing her constantly stop singing and shout out the group's phantom name, Dive, many said Ray was trying to sweep her weak vocal under the rug. Especially because IVE was embroiled in the scandal of debuting to keep Jang Won-young relevant, rather than to bring someone new to the table, the criticism toward Ray became even fiercer, as most believed she wasn't competent enough to stand on the stage. Then, the criticism quickly spread out to the whole group. On many K-community forums and outlets, it wasn't hard to find something calling out their weak vocal, like IVE's messy encore singing. K-netizens list out groups with poor live singing, with IVE topping the list. And, is IVE's obvious lack of skills affecting them? When Starship Entertainment released the recording session of 11, the backlash toward IVE hit even harder, as, according to netizens, they didn't have the skills to be called the next leading act of Gen 4 when being compared to aespa. As many pointed out, all the vocals of IVE's members were flat and breathless. Even Yuchin, the member said to be the most stable singing-wise, also failed people as she was seen struggling with a grimacing face. When it came to Won-young, the hate got even worse, as people said she didn't understand the job of an idol in the recording room was to deliver a good song, rather than non-stop looking at the camera and striking poses. However, many dives defended that as IVE was just a rookie, people should give them a chance to mature their skills, rather than imposing on them the standards set by many professional artists. This justification apparently made sense, so the hate started to cool down. Number 2. Sserafim. Debuting amid one of the biggest, if not the biggest scandals of the year, Sserafim had been strictly scrutinized for literally whatever they did when Kim Garam was still active. As many believed HYBE was leveraging media play to push the reputation of Sserafim, netizens paid even more attention to the girls' skills, to see if they deserved the push. And after seeing their live singing on Music Bank, most agreed their vocals were just as lacking as the personality of Kim Garam. The whole performance was so bad that some thought they were watching an MR-removed version of Fearless. And even worse, a broadcast accident. Because there was no way a company extensively using autotune to perfect their artists' vocals like HYBE would let their girl group sing so terribly like that on a national broadcast. However, many fans justified that because Fearless was an extremely low song, which was technically even harder to sing than high-pitched songs, and Sserafim was even dancing while hitting those hard notes, the public should never have judged them that bad. Yet netizens just found those reasons hilarious, as not only on this stage, but on many previous performances, which were mostly encore stages where the girls could just stand still and sing, they were still said to show the terribly lacking vocal capabilities that were never allowed to be seen on an idol.
Break it down, break it down.
Considering how Sakura and Chaewon had been in the industry for over 3 years, some said it was even more disappointing to watch as they both sing off tune with bad breath control. Netizens had also lost count of the times Sserafim cracked, and claimed that the group should have trained more to compensate for the lack of techniques. Some said HYBE had become a tone-deaf company for debuting such a girl group, and their unsavable bad live vocals made netizens regretful for G-Friend, a top-notch girl group heartlessly replaced by a lacking act like Sserafim. Number 3. STAYC. Surprised? Well, actually, I was also taken aback to see netizens accusing STAYC of having bad vocal capabilities. Because one of the reasons helping the group to get where they are today comes down greatly to their live vocals, but still. it is what it is. In one post where the singing skills of IVE was stoned, some also dragged STAYC in and said that the girls' vocals were just on the same par with IVE. Not long after that, there was even a whole long thread dedicated to judging the singing of STAYC, saying that the only reason people praised them was that they had the balls to sing live, while most other acts didn't. Others also believed, as STAYC didn't stand out in anything else, from dancing, rapping, stage presence, to producing music, the only thing fans could hang on to compliment them was the average vocal. Particularly, Seyoon was said to always sound the same, strained, and non-supportive. Yoon often tried hard to sing in a higher range than her reach. Sumin and Jae are below average, and Seyoon and Issa were just decent enough to debut. Looking at the way STAYC was being complimented on all fronts for their vocal, many said they only found it ridiculous how the bar for Idols Gen 4 was set so low that everyone could easily go wild over some of the most average acts. Upon this, STAYC's fans asked, since when did people become so strict about vocals? They just can't understand why Seyoon, the member who is considered to have the most impressive and powerful vocals in STAYC, as she was often assigned some of the hardest parts of the group's songs, was tragically bashed, and even confusingly called the worst main vocalist of Gen 4. Number 4. TXT. Being under the same roof with Sserafim, TXT was also criticized for their lack of vocal capabilities. And to netizens, this coincidence meant nothing but implicitly confirming HYBE was a tone-deaf company, debuting tone-deaf artists. Things all started after TXT did their encore stage for I Know I Love You on the show. And while people were looking forward to seeing a vocally pleasant performance from a boy group heavily invested by HYBE, all they got was a disappointing stage, where none of the members could hold up the bare minimum standard.
No, I can't stop thinking about you and I'm sinking alone. No, it's real, I can feel it.
Many pointed out that all TXT members had sung off-key, and the encore performance reminded them of the embarrassing situation where people think they could sing with a song on, but painfully realized they sounded horrible without the music.
Out of all of the girls, you my one and only girl.
This was not to mention how TXT was branded as an all-rounded boy group that would continue the success of BTS. Some also ironically blamed themselves for thinking TXT was talented, while in fact, they weren't that much different from a random high school band. Earlier this year, TXT was still named as one of the worst vocal groups of Gen 4, and on big forums, it wasn't hard to find posts calling out TXT for the generic vocal, which was voted to be too popular on Reddit, and expressing how people couldn't stand the group for their singing capabilities. So, do you think netizens were being too harsh on these idols? Or is it true that they need to brush up their singing? Comment down below to share your thoughts with us. Also, remember to like, share, and subscribe to BeBoss TV for more interesting K-pop content. Thank you for watching.